Why is it so rare for a comedy nowadays? A comedy on the big screen itself is so rare, and the ones that are so called comedies barely even count as them. Still remember No Hard Feelings was touted to be this next big the comedy in theaters, but even that fell flat, as does this. Credit where credit is due. I felt Kiki Palmer was the only positive aspect of this movie for me. She definitely had a more free flowing and energetic character as compared to her last outing that I've seen her in, Jordan Peele's Nope. She was the only watchable part of the movie for me and sort of carries the whole thing by herself. Other than her, I really appreciate the environment of the movie. It's a lot of thought has gone into the world building and it sort of stays true to its nature for the most part. At least in my theater, people found the movie pretty funny. I heard a lot of laughs, a lot of reactions to a lot of the jokes, but just because I did not find it as funny, just doesn't mean that other people won't. But that's where my complaints lie. The movie really isn't a comedy, even though it tries really hard to be. I don't think everyone's gonna find this movie funny, and as such, it keeps its humor at a very minimalistic level. It has this very simple storyline with the entire movie happening over the course of a day, as such other movies like Friday and Dude, Where's My Perfect have done before. But the difference is those movies found a way to keep it, even that simple premise, engaging and fun throughout the entire course of the movie. As such, one of them Daves follows the same story beats as said movies would go along, except the comedy and the enjoyment, at least for me again, is very mid. Sure, some jokes got a smile or even a sniffle out of me at times, but mostly just turns out to be a very boring sequence of events. In the same realm, again, Kiki Palmer's character was the only character that actually made sense to me and seemed to be slightly well rounded and written. And every other character in the movie just sort of exists in their own world of lunacy. Each character that we get introduced to seems to be more incompetent than the last, and as the movie goes along, it just adds to a frustrating list of complaints that I have against them. Now, I know I shouldn't be taking it as serious, but it's the tone of your movie that sets how we're supposed to view your characters, which those other movies, as I've mentioned before, do so well, is that they're a borderline stupidity. So you never really care on how the characters interact or act in those situations. Like Sissa's character, for example, is increasingly frustrating as the movie goes on, to the point of which, when the conflict actually happens between the friends as it does, I just hope that they would separate and go their separate ways, because I did not want to see her character anymore. Frustrating to me when I see bad writing. Now, I'm not putting the blame completely on Loris Lamont, but I do get the sense that the script was going downhill continually. A lot of unnecessary shots, a lot of unnecessary scenes that's just sort of dragged on, and just made the movie completely dull. The plot itself seems to have become increasingly convenient for the protagonists, and when there's no hindrance for them, you just sort of sit back and accept the fact that nothing is going to be happening to them, as you know that they're just going to get out of it. To add insult to injury, the chemistry between the lead cast, or the main friendship that we're supposed to attach ourselves to, is extremely weak. And so I couldn't even connect emotionally to what the characters were trying to do. Although it seems to be along those lines of a one-day comedy, it falls extremely low to the likes of its peers, and hence it's just not as fun. It's not as funny, and it's maybe as good as a background movie. But again, I might not get the comedy, but doesn't mean that you won't. But that's all I felt. I will see you guys in the next one.